Right then, this is a quick walk around video, and this is for a Toyota Yaris, and it's a 1 litre T Spirit, which I believe is one of the highest up the range you can get. 61 plate car. This car's covered just 25,000 miles. Finished in red, which looks lovely on the car. In very, very good condition for an 11-year-old car, I have to say. It's been beautifully serviced throughout its life. Front of the car, really clean. Lights and lenses are clear and intact. There's no cracks or condensation on them. Bonnet, very, very clean. Near side of the car, can't see any obvious indentations that jump out at me. The panel work looks nice and clean. Near side always gets the odd sort of minor sort of brush mark, which you get from sort of trees and shrubs and that kind of stuff, but if there are any, they're very light indeed. Come around the back of the car, around to the offside, driver's side. Again, panels, can't see any indentations that sort of jump out at all. So it's a really gloomy, misty day today, so I hope the video is okay, but I've just got to try and do them when I can this time of year. That's just pot luck really, but generally, I mean, for the age, mileage, and in particular price we're asking for the car, it's in very good condition. Coming inside, again on the passenger side here, all very clean and tidy. It's gone very gloomy all of a sudden, so I'll try to do this as quick as I can, but it's been kept very nicely, I have to say. Coming to the front now, again all nice and tidy. Driver's seat itself for 11-year-old cars in excellent condition. So inside the car now, engine's running as always the case, so I can have the dashboard illuminated. Just turn the radio on there a second. You say you've got this high up display on this generation car. It looks really nice. Hopefully you can see 25,429 miles recorded. You got your little sat nav screen and radio there. That's a really lovely interior, I have to say. I mentioned the following road test video. This is one we know well because my son basically been learning to drive in the car, and it's been a fantastic choice. Just a very enjoyable car to drive, and one that I've been driving around in as well, and just thoroughly enjoyed it. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Toyota Yaris. It's a 1 litre T Spirit. This car is registered CE61WJL. It has a lovely low mileage, just 25,422. The reason, by the way, we do all of our videos, and it's very simple, is because we want to ensure that if anyone is looking at any of our cars online, get to see the very car advertising in operation. Like many people, we've been to see cars which have looked absolutely fine in photographs or description, but only to get there and find out there's an obvious fault that shows up whilst driving the car, so hence that's why we do it. Slightly different to normal, because I'm doing this video on slightly different roads. There's still, basically, if I go in that direction, there's some roadworks which we never really see in the village, but they are doing some at the moment. So to try and keep us moving, I'm going to go this way and hope everything's okay. So a little backstory to this car. This car I actually bought quite a few months ago now, because my son was basically starting to learn to drive. So he's been using this one, and we bought it for the same reason most people buy it for. It was cheap to insure, or to get him insurance on, certainly. But he just wanted a nice, safe, reliable car for him to be driving around in, and much more importantly, safe for me as the passenger. But great cars, I have to say, absolutely great cars. But to go through the usual things as I always do in the videos, starting with the engine, which starts instantly and settles to completely smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard, nor there ever have been whilst we've been driving the car. But the engine's really good. It's, don't get me wrong, it is not a sports car. It's not going to be hurtling you along at ridiculous speeds, but it actually gets up and goes reasonably well. It's flexible. I'm currently in 5th gear at 35 miles an hour. Put my foot down, it picks up. There's no flutter or fluster. It's just very well done, and it's generally especially on the cruise, quite a quiet car. The engine then feeds through into the clutch and gearbox in the car. The clutch in the car, as you expect, on such a low mileage, light, positive, bike point is exactly where it's meant to be. Crikey me, wow. This is why I don't go down this particular side of the road. Ah, dear me. The clutch is perfect. It's nice and smooth there. Gearbox, typical Toyota gearbox in terms of quality of actuation. It's slick, it's precise, it's short and throw, it's really nicely done. And again, because it's such a low mileage, everything just feels incredibly tight in the car. As you'd expect, obviously. The steering on the car, very nicely done actually. What I really hate in cars, and for some reason manufacturers, especially on small cars, tend to give them horribly over-light steering, which is, initially feels really nice when you're around town or parking the car, but then you get up to speed and it's just, it's horrible. This has got a nice weighting to it. It makes the car feel very solid and substantial in a way on the road. It doesn't feel like a little car to drive. It's it's typical Japanese. They do these things brilliantly. So it doesn't feel like a little roller skate, tinny and bouncy. It feels like a class above, and the steering's part of that. That's not to say it is heavy at low speed. It isn't. It's incredible. You can do it with one hand. It's typical power steering, but they've engineered it to have weight to it. It's again, it does the job it's meant to do brilliantly well. It's very accurate. It's kind of fluid in feel, even though it's electric power steering, and it works very nicely with the chassis as well. And also, by the way, track's absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations at the speed or any speed up to legal limit, and clearly we know because we've been driving the car for quite some time if it exhibits any of those. The chassis itself gives you a very confident, compliant ride. It's very comfortable generally. Only potholes or sharp ridges in the road, as with any car, will sort of transmit themselves through the vehicle. The handling itself is on the safe side in terms of kind of what it's looking to do, because this is it's ultimately just a small sort of car for nipping around in city driving. It's very manoeuvrable. As I said, it's not a hot hatch, but it's not to say it hasn't got its merit. It goes to the corners really well. It feels tight on the road, really nice in that sense. There's also absolutely no rattles or clonks coming from underneath the car that shouldn't be there. It's all in fine fettle indeed. Just going to come out onto this main road. So it all feels slightly alien to me doing it this way around, but needs must. The brakes on the car, again, absolutely spot on. They're confident when you hit the brake pedal. They bite immediately. They're powerful. There's no pulsing or vibrations at any speed. Again, which is a sign of kind of disc wear in particular. But they're all good. And it's literally yesterday just gone through a brand new MOT with no advisories at all. So it is in fine order. Coming inside the car, what you get is typical Japanese quality, is the long and short of it. As I said before, it feels a more substantial car than quite a lot of others in this class. There's no squeaks or rattles. The materials used are good. Again, they're not that, although they're kind of sort of quite hard in lots of ways, they're substantially hard, if you know what I mean. It's all put together very nicely laid out. One thing you notice when you drive the car, which is why I liked it for him, it's got really good visibility for manoeuvring. So if you're doing sort of parking, or you're on the motorway, lane changing, it's really good, especially say for sort of first time drivers. But as a dash, it's very simple to just jump in and drive. You've got this centralised instrumentation panel there, so obviously it's easy for left-hand drive cars and right-hand drive cars, but it takes seconds to get yourself used to it. Acclimatise yourself to it rather. Nicely detailed, information's all good. You've got this little radio and sort of nifty little sat-nav system, which I haven't used. I mean, it works perfectly well. It's a little TomTom based thing. It's kind of handy in its own right, but obviously now with modern phones, they're generally used and they're better than these things, but it's all functioning as it should. You've got obviously air conditioning system that pumps out lovely cold air, by the way, not that you need it on a day like today because it's absolutely raw outside, but more importantly the heater works very nicely. Then you've got this nice leather bound steering wheel. All feels good in hand. There's, it's in very, very nice condition in here. It's been kept very, very well indeed. And it's been a joy to use it for the time we've needed it, basically. But now it goes up for sale. I'll miss it, actually. It's been a really, really handy and lovely little car to run on own, and it drives faultlessly. Cannot fault it in any way.